About Greenland management for future generation. Why is it important that we are talking about this topic as, for such a time as this? Yes.
Thank you for that question. This is a very critical subject at the moment.
Yes.
Because our population is increasing. Mm-hmm. And as you said in your opening remarks, land is a finite resource. Mm-hmm. So we need to be able to manage this particular resource to ensure that we can be able to settle the population and also provide the needs in terms of infrastructure development, providing spaces where people can be able to have recreational activities, provide space for agriculture, and to generally be able to uplift the living standards and conditions of a country.
Yes.
Yes.
In terms of pressing land-related challenges, what do you think are the most pressing ones, especially now, especially when it comes to urban and rural areas? Okay.
Yeah, so if you look at the urban areas, one of the greatest challenges at the moment is on the issue of high-rise buildings, construction of high-rise buildings, which we have seen from time to time on the press, with either buildings collapsing or developments which have been put up which are not necessarily properly authorized, which is leading to crowding out of space. There's competition in terms of infrastructure development, where you find that the development in given areas like water, sewer, roads are missing. And that, of course, is creating a big challenge in terms of how we are managing our urban areas and thinking of how to be able to go forward. And then within the urban areas, we also still have issues of encroachment into public land or competition of resources, or getting close to areas that are environmentally sensitive, like the riparian reserves, or people constructing houses next to the rivers, as you have seen in the recent past, so that when it actually rains and these bodies actually flood, then a lot of people are affected. If you go to the rural areas, one of the biggest challenges is still on boundary disputes, mainly because of the way the survey and mapping has been done in those areas, use of general boundaries, which creates a lot of disputes when it comes to certainty in terms of identifying where those boundaries are. We also still have issues in terms of succession, because in a number of areas, succession issues have not been completed, and there is a competition in terms of who is supposed to be owning what piece of land. Or you find that people have sold a given piece of land, but in the end it turns out that they do not have the authority to be able to sell that land, and somebody has invested on that, and that creates conflicts. Yes, so we have those kind of challenges affecting us across the country.
You've touched something on succession, and that is one of the biggest problems that bring about issues to do with land. But for a person who does not know anything about it, how should they approach it, and how long does it take for it to be complete?
Well, succession, one of the things that delays it is agreements between families, because there must be an agreement in terms of how a given piece of land is actually going to be shared. And because sometimes you have different viewpoints coming from different family members, it's something that can drag for long until they can actually come to an agreement. But the process is simple enough, because you need to have a letter from the local authority, the chief, for example, saying that the family has agreed to be able to distribute this land in this particular manner. And then that kind of an agreement is then registered in a court of law, so that instructions come from the honorable judge or the magistrate to the registrar in terms of how that land is supposed to be distributed. So the main issue or the main challenge is how long it will actually take for the family to sit down and agree on the division of the land. Yes.
Indeed. Now, you know, Kenya is growing, and the urban setup is rising. Now, how is it affecting the environment and land use in Kenya? And in this case, how do we balance development and the development needs and environmental conservation?
It's a critical question, not only in Kenya but across the world, but mainly in the developing countries, because we are still struggling with our land management options, or how we actually administer the land. But as you say, there is need for us to be able to identify space needs and put them into good use. For example, where we can have residential activities or where we can have industrial activities. The challenge is, as the population is increasing and we are getting to encroach into areas, for example, that would have been used for agriculture,